Bryan Levell of Jamaica and Australia's Gout Gout are two sprinters who showed up to the World Championships in Tokyo to run the 200-meter dash exclusively. And they did it with a whole bunch of hype, and for that matter, even expectations. But we really didn't have much concrete to go off of, at least up until now. Granted, the 200-meter final is coming, and Bryan Levell is now one of the favorites to go into that race and win it. I totally admit it. And I'm going to come back on that topic in a moment, because I've been reading the comment section, and I see where people's minds are. I recognize, shout out to all the Jamaican fans. Truly love and appreciate you all. You have some very strong opinions, and I'm here to chat back and forth with you about it. But I'm going to touch on both of these athletes, because every time they've run up until this moment, they were on the track together. And we really get, a pretty good picture of, I guess the life of a phenom or a young up and coming star, and what can it look like when it comes to the World Championship scene and beyond. In the preliminary heats, I'm going to go back and rehash everything as I witnessed it. Gout Gout and Bryan Levell were in their preliminary heat together. Bryan Levell goes 1984, and depending on who you ask, I think we can all agree on this part. Bryan Levell ran the fastest qualifying heat. He did it very comfortably, and he did it very confidently. How much he shut it down, how easy it was, how much he walked in the park to do it, that's all up for debate. If you need to hear me say it, I'm going to give you my opinion on it. You don't run 19.84 seconds when your PR is not more than 2/10 faster than that without trying. That's just not how it happens. Yes, coaches dial you in, prepare you for a championship, but he goes out there and he executes, and he's been executing through these rounds. But as he does it, he's been doing it confidently and comfortably. I'll meet you there. And he's even been letting off on the gas at different points towards the end of a race. But that does not necessarily mean to me that we know what his potential is yet. We are about to find out. In Gout Gout's situation, when he's in that preliminary heat, this 17-year-old phenom, who some have dubbed the next Usain Bolt, interestingly enough, he's running against a Jamaican athlete who more or less burst onto the scene in the 200, this year. I mean, yes, he might have been at the games, but Bryan Levell became a thing, yesterday. Just to put that out there. And Gout Gout, he qualified out of the heats, for what it's worth. Doesn't run his best race. He ran 20.2 seconds, but it was good enough to get him through to the next round. I bring up both of these athletes, for a reason. Because before they got to the World Championships, because I'm going to come to their semifinal in a moment, they had two different paths. Bryan Levell kind of announced himself to me when I saw him on Grand Slam track. I didn't know much about him up until that moment. And then, after those meets, because he didn't win anything at Grand Slam track, that was the Kenny Bednarik show. Everybody knows this, if you were paying attention. But he goes out there and runs a fast 100. He runs a fast 200 that's windy. Then he runs another fast 200 on the Continental Tour. He qualified at the Jamaican National Trials, specifically in the 200, not the 100. All of these moments are what, in my opinion, shifted the narrative on Bryan Levell. Showing up to the World Championships, when you look at the leaderboards, he was supposed to be one of the fastest men there. But we also knew what Noah Lyles, Kenny Bednarik, and Letsile Tebogo have already accomplished in that event. It's, head and shoulders above the rest of the field. So if you don't have next level talent, you ain't gonna run with them. I think that's safe to say. When we got to the semifinal, because, hey, I'm getting back to the Gout Gout situation now. I'm going to be hopping back and forth. In the semifinal, Bryan Levell goes out and runs even faster. This time, he, as far as I'm concerned, runs confidently, comfortably, gets off the turn, blows the doors off that turn. I thought it was going to be the most confident race we saw until Noah Lyles showed up in the third semifinal. And when he gets through the last 50 meters or so, yes, he slows up again in the last 10 meters. How much more is in the tank is really up for debate, but I think what matters most is that it's pretty clear that there's a standard of what Bryan Levell is capable of. That standard is, I'm going to go out like a rocket, I'm going to dare you to come get me. Very few people in the world have the talent to do it, and I'm pretty sure that Letsile Tebogo wanted to see what he could do with Bryan Levell in the semifinal. You had to kind of gauge it, and what he gauged was, he spotted him just a little bit too much space, and the question is, can he get out fast enough to hang with him? Because forget about Noah Lyles for a moment. If you want to get on the podium, you're going to have to go past Bryan Levell now in order to do it. Gout Gout was further back. He actually took a step back on the clock from his preliminary heat to his semifinal. And now that all of this is on the board, these are the facts, the way I understand them. What does it all mean? But if you're new here, I want to say thank you for even making it this far into the video. And I'm Coach Rob, and if you really want to know what's going on with the fastest athletes in the world, then you are in the right place. And if anything that I say actually connects with you, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe. But if I don't, just let me know in the comment section, because I try to read them all. Because you've got the sprinting phenom, who everybody's dubbed the next Usain Bolt, and then you have the lightning fast man from Jamaica, who for the most part was a random. Didn't know much about him until like a few months ago. And even then, this World Championships with the 2 rounds he's run is basically, an announcement, a warning shot to the entire world, because Bryan Levell is officially a thing. And as far as I can tell, he doesn't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. Again, as far as I can tell. When it comes to the Gout Gout side of it, Gout Gout really hasn't run with the top pros all year long. When he was announced as signing a pro contract, coming from the American context, we expected to see him in Diamond League races, higher profile Continental Tour, stuff like that. I get it. In Australia, he's in school, there's a whole bunch of things going on. But fundamentally, he's announced as a pro, and we don't see him with the pros. He goes to a Diamond League meeting in Monaco where he could have run with Letsile Tebogo, who we ran in the semifinal with. Could have run with Noah Lyles and Alex Ogando, so many of these other top athletes. Maka Sharamba, who was in his preliminary heat. And instead, he opts to be in an under-23 race, where he wins it because, well, of course he was supposed to. That's why they put the phenom in there. It feels to me that on talent, Gout Gout was likely going to hover around the line that was going to make the final anyway in the 200. But if he was going to do it, to me, it feels like he had the talent. He had the talent to get one of those spots, like one of those last qualifying spots this year, but he probably needed just to be a little bit sharper, because none of the races that we saw Gout Gout run this year look anything like what his preliminary heat and semifinal actually looked like, because the amount of talent around him was different. Even the men whom he's beating are a whole lot closer to him. Like, he has to work hard now just to get third in a preliminary heat, 3rd or 4th. I'm going off of memory here. You compare that to Bryan Levell, who more or less went out there and tested himself. And whether it was Grand Slam track, whether it was on the Continental Tour, whatever it was, he showed up in different places and raced. Everything did not go well. It just is what it is. He definitely took his losses. But that brings us to a place where now he has the full confidence, because he's raced against these guys before. He knows what they can do, and he can compare that to what he's capable of. In the comment section, when it comes to, the arguments about Bryan Levell versus Noah Lyles and slowing up and did Noah go too fast and everything else, here is my, unmitigated, totally just off the cuff take about it. Noah Lyles has already shown us what he is. I have a very clear working memory on his 200 meter history. I'm in the group that only believes that Noah Lyles, hear me when I say this, lost the 200 meter at the Olympics in 2024 because he was sick. That's the only reason. I actually said it out loud before the meet went off, that the only way Noah Lyles is going to lose the 200 meter dash is if God himself sits him down. And I guess that's what actually happened. I don't believe on talent, Noah Lyles running like himself, like healthy and ready to go, that he was going to lose that race. He didn't look like himself at any point during those rounds. Not in the heats, not in the semifinals. Very different from what we're getting this year, where he does look a whole lot more like himself. I honestly think the 200 meter semi for him was not just a tune-up. It's like he needed to remind himself that he could do it. Because it's one thing to believe you can run fast. It's another thing to know you can do it. Noah Lyles has run fast consistently. And let me remind you, in a world that has already seen Usain Bolt, I'm not saying that he's Bolt's level, but I am saying something different. Noah Lyles did run in 2022 the fastest season from start to finish in the 200 meter dash that anybody had ever run, with the most amount of times that were, so low on the leaderboards compared to anything else we'd ever seen in history. That man. So when he goes 1951 in a 200 meter semifinal, and no, he didn't slow up on the way to the line. He probably could have, but I don't really think that makes that much of a difference. That's the thing. So if you're in the comment section and that's how you feel, I respect it. I just see it differently. I don't think those last 10 meters in a 200 make all that much of a difference. We know what Noah Lyles is capable of, and we know what he looks like in championship finals. And unless something catastrophic has to happen for him to not be himself, Bryan Levell is a wild card because in a world with Kenny Bednarik and Letsile Tebogo, I feel like Kenny Bednarik has another gear. From what we've seen in the semifinals, what we saw in the heats, I feel like he has another gear. But I think that gear is going to stop somewhere around the 1960s. That's just how I feel about it this season. It might even go 1959, 1958. I just don't think that gear goes into the 1940s. Not right now. I don't see that. When it comes to Letsile Tebogo, he might have ran 19.4 last year in the Olympic final. And he might do it again. He might. But I just don't feel like, from what I saw this season up until now, including the heats and the semis, that he's in that form. I think he's looking a whole lot more like 19.6, 19.7 if he really went out there and gunned it and ran the best race he had right now. 1960 is about what I'm seeing. The question for Bryan Levell is, can he go faster than that? Because we've never seen it yet. That's the question. Can he go faster than 1960? Can he go faster than 1950? Because I think that's what it's going to take to beat Noah Lyles. If Noah just repeats what he ran in the semifinal, 1951, who can go with the pace? Because I don't see him taking a step back. This is not a brand new athlete. This is a 3-time-in-a-row world champion who lost an Olympic final, got a bronze medal in a loss because I believe he was sick. Now, it's a loss. That loss counts. And for Letsile, that's a win. That gold medal, it counts. As far as the rest of the world is concerned who watched the games, Letsile is the guy. Bryan Levell is the newcomer because Gout Gout came with a whole bunch of hype. For that matter, more hype than Bryan Levell. But it's pretty clear that Bryan Levell is legit. I don't know what the future of his career is going to look like, but I certainly know what moment we're in right now. Bryan Levell is a problem. When he comes off the turn, he's going to be in the mix. If it's him and Noah, neck and neck, I'm taking Noah. If it's him and Noah, with Noah behind him, barely, I'm taking Noah. If he has a large lead on Noah, and Noah's faded back, like he's somehow third or fourth or something like that, maybe, and that's a big maybe, Bryan Levell might have a shot. But regardless, once I make my picks, I generally tend to stay with them. I'm also going to throw another note about some things I saw in the comment section. In my last video, I did a 200 meter, semifinal recap. I mentioned Wade Van Niekerk and how he was in his 200 meter semifinal. I think there was like a slip of the tongue where I literally said, referred to him as the former world record holder. That's not what I meant to say. He is the world record holder in the 400, but I think I only said former because what I was really on the way to saying is that he's best known for that, but Wade Van Niekerk is not known for doing much in the 200 at this point in his career. Like, he's still here, he's still competing, but it's not the Wade Van Niekerk that broke the world record so many years ago, because that was a while ago between that moment and now. But hey, if you hit the comment section, because some people were like, oh, he called himself a coach, and what does he know about sprinting? And it was a whole big thing, a whole thread in the comment section. I respect it. It's just, by now, if that's really all you got from the video, then hey, I don't know what to say. So we are now headed to the 200 meter final. Gout Gout won't be there. He's still a sprinting phenom. As far as his situation is concerned, we'll be waiting because I don't know if he's going to come back running in more of these schoolhouse races in December, in November, in January, because they have a very different calendar down there in Australia about how they compete in track and field. He might. I feel like it'll hit differently now because we just saw him with the best. So watching him go back to run with the kids, if that's what he chooses to do, I think it's just no longer going to shock the world. It's just going to be, oh, so you dropped a world championship caliber athlete in with the kids. Like, that's how I think it's going to hit. I could be wrong. I could be entirely wrong about that, but that's just how I'm seeing it at this moment. And for Bryan Levell, he is now, as far as I'm concerned, in the medal conversation, authentically. He's supposed to leave Tokyo with a medal the way that he has run up until now. If he doesn't, I would argue that it's probably more of an experience issue than anything else. Because on talent, he has it. But when it comes to the gold medal, if you're choosing him, I support you. I'm just not joining you. So going forward into the 200 meter final, I stand by my initial assessment that the only way you're going to beat a healthy Noah Lyles, which is what I think we're looking at, you had better figure out, at the very least, how to run 19.4 something, and to do it on command. Otherwise, we already know who is going to be in the winner's circle. In the sport of track and field, confidence is everything, because when you win, that is just the moment when everybody else finds out what you already knew to be true, that fast is a lifestyle. Get your Fast is a Lifestyle track and field gear at scarecruiting.com/shop or use the link in the description below. It's a huge support to me and this channel, so I can continue to make you more content like this. And remember, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe.